We use it every single day, but how often do we really stop and think about how language actually works? Well, we're about to go under the hood and explore the hidden architecture, the deep interconnected systems that make everything possible, from just a simple conversation to epic poetry. This question, it really gets at a profound truth. See, language isn't just another tool like the wheel or fire. It's way more fundamental. It's like the operating system for human culture. It's the software that runs our history, our laws, our communities, even our relationships. It's literally the code for our shared reality. So, to get our heads around this incredibly complex system, we're going to journey through these four main areas. We'll start inside the mind with the hidden blueprint of language. Then we'll explore its amazing creative power, look at how we pull meaning from it all, and finally, see how it all functions out in the real world. Okay, so let's dive right into part one, the hidden architecture. We're starting with those invisible structures that are running way below our conscious thought, that subconscious scaffolding that holds our entire linguistic world together. The first big idea here is modularity. Your brain's language ability isn't just one giant processor doing everything. Nope, it's much more like a factory with highly specialized departments. You've got a phonology department handling sounds, a syntax department for sentence structure, a semantics department for meaning, and they're all working together seamlessly. But here's the kicker. This whole modular system is almost completely inaccessible to our conscious minds, and that's our first key conceptual link. And that's what's so wild about this modular system. You can't just look inside your own mind and read the rule book. Your knowledge of grammar is almost entirely subconscious. It's just running automatically in the background, totally inaccessible to you. I mean, think about this. You automatically know how to pronounce the past tense ed ending differently in words like hunted, slipped, and buzzed. You're following a really complex phonetic rule. It's about whether the final sound of the verb is voiced or not, and I bet you were never explicitly taught that rule in school. Yet, you do it perfectly every single time. That is accessibility in action. So, how does the system build anything? Well, it uses constituents. Think of language like Legos. We don't just combine words one by one in a long string. Instead, we build with these pre-assembled chunks, these constituents. So a phrase like "the smart woman" acts as a single block that we can move around. Now, for these blocks to work, the pieces they're made from have to be distinct. And this brings us to our next pair of ideas: constituency and discreteness. Right. So languages build these constituents out of discrete units. Now, the sounds we can physically make, they form a continuous spectrum, kind of like a slide whistle. But every single language carves that spectrum up into a set of distinct, separate sounds. The difference between the vowel in pat and pet isn't some gradual slide, it's a hard jump between two completely separate categories. Language builds with blocks, not gradients. All right, let's move on to part two and see how these foundational pieces, these discrete constituents, come together to form this amazing engine of infinite creativity. Because language is built from these constituent blocks, it unlocks a kind of superpower called recursion. This is our third key connection: constituency and recursion. It's a simple but incredibly profound ability to embed one constituent inside another one of the same type over and over again. I mean, think about this classic example. We take a noun phrase, the house, and then we embed another clause right inside it that Jack built. And we could just keep going forever. This simple looping mechanism is honestly one of the most powerful features of any human language. And this leads us right to our fourth conceptual link: recursion and productivity. Because we can use recursion pretty much indefinitely, it means that with a finite brain and a finite set of rules, you can produce and understand a truly infinite number of sentences. You will literally never run out of new things to say. Now, this mechanical productivity is the engine for something really special: human creativity. Think of it this way. Productivity is the raw potential to just create endlessly. Creativity is what we do with that potential. Coining new words, coming up with novel expressions, sharing thoughts that have never, ever existed before. But, and this is a big but, creativity isn't just chaos. It's guided by the grammar's built-in constraints. We can creatively turn the noun Houdini into a verb because it fits the rules of English. But we can't just invent the word sasper because it violates English sound patterns. And we can't just jumble words randomly. Our creative impulse is incredibly powerful, but it still has to play by the rules. Okay, so we can create infinite sentences. But how do we decode their meaning? Especially when you realize that the connection between a sound and its meaning is, well, it's basically completely arbitrary. Let's really think about this core problem. There is no inherent dogness in the sound sequence dog. In Chinese, it's go. In German, it's Hund. The connection is purely a convention. It's arbitrary. So how on earth does a system built on something so random even function?
Well, this arbitrariness leads to a feature called duality of patterning. This is where one string of sounds can have multiple, totally unrelated meanings. The sound one, for example, it could be the number one, or it could mean you were victorious. This massive ambiguity should cause the whole system to fail, but it doesn't. And that's thanks to our next key pairing, duality's reliance on context.
The whole system works because we are absolute masters of context. If I say one dog, your knowledge of grammar immediately tells you I mean the number. If I say I won the race, you know I mean the verb. We resolve this kind of massive ambiguity constantly, and we do it effortlessly by relying on both the grammatical context and the social situation of whatever's being said. So far, we've pretty much stayed inside the mind. But now for part 4, let's zoom out and see how these systems actually operate out on the wild, across different communities and over vast stretches of time. A truly fundamental property of language is its variability. It differs systematically from one community to the next. I mean, look at this. Even something as seemingly objective as a dog's bark gets filtered through the unique sound system of each language. This isn't just random noise, it's systematic variation. And this variability across space leads directly to our next conceptual link, mutability across time. See, languages are not static things. They're constantly changing. The grammar of how we say no in English, for example, has evolved a lot over the centuries. Change is just the natural outcome of all that variation being passed down from one generation to the next. This inherent variability brings us to the crucial principle of parity. Despite all the differences between languages, from a scientific point of view, they are all on equal footing. There is no such thing as a primitive language. All human grammars are equally complex and perfectly suited to the communicative needs of their speakers. Period. And this principle of parity means that linguists have to take a descriptive approach, not a prescriptive one. A linguist's job isn't to be some kind of grammar cop, telling people how they should talk. Their job is to be a scientist, observing and analyzing how people actually use their language in all of its glorious systematic variability. And this leaves us with a final and pretty provocative thought. We've established that from a scientific perspective, all languages and all dialects have parity. They're equal. So why then, in the social world, do we attach such different values to them? That question moves us out of the mechanics of language and into its powerful and often complicated role in our lives.